The auditorium buzzed with nervous energy as 50 candidates settled into their seats. This was at the final examination for the Elite Intelligence Academy, where only 5 would earn their badges. Finch sat in row 7, his fingers drumming against the armrest, eyes scanning the room with practiced precision. He had trained for 3 years for this moment, mastering combat, psychology, and threat assessment. His instructors called him exceptional. His peers called him unbeatable. At exactly 9 o'clock, Director Morrison strode onto the stage, his silver hair gleaming under the harsh lights. "Good morning, candidates," his voice boomed through the speakers. "Today's test is simple. Somewhere in this room sits a trained operative. Your task, identify the threat among you." A collective intake of breath rippled through the audience. Finch's pulse quickened. This was what separated the good from the great, the ability to spot danger hiding in plain sight. "You have 30 minutes, Morrison continued. "Write your answer on the tablet provided. Choose wisely. This decision will determine your future." The tablets lit up simultaneously, casting a blue glow across focused faces. Finch immediately began his assessment, employing every technique he'd learned. He observed body language, noting who sat too rigidly, who appeared too relaxed. He watched for micro-expressions, subtle tells that betrayed training or deception. Row 1. A muscular man with military posture sat ramrod straight, his jaw clenched. Too obvious, Finch thought. Real operatives blend in. Row 2. A woman in business attire kept checking her watch, anxious, but probably just nervous about the test. His gaze swept systematically through each row. There. Row 5. A man with calculating eyes that moved too deliberately across the room, taking mental photographs. Finch marked him as a strong possibility, but something nagged at him. In his peripheral vision, he noticed most candidates focusing on the same suspects: the military-looking man, the calculating observer, a tattooed woman who sat with aggressive confidence in row 8. Finch prided himself on thinking differently. He looked again, this time searching for the person everyone was ignoring. Row 3. A young woman sat quietly near the middle, her dark hair pulled into a simple ponytail. She wore unremarkable clothes, jeans, and a gray sweater. Her posture was relaxed, but not overly so. Her hands rested gently in her lap. She looked ordinary, forgettable, even. Frozen had perfected the art of invisibility, while others postured and preened. She had entered the auditorium without a single person noticing her. She had chosen her seat strategically, not too close to the front where she'd draw attention, not too far back where she'd seem suspicious. Row 3, middle section, the dead zone of human attention. She watched without appearing to watch, her eyes soft and unfocused while her peripheral vision captured everything. She had counted the candidates, noted the exits, assessed the security protocols, all while appearing to be nothing more than another nervous student. Finch found himself staring at her. Something about her stillness felt deliberate. Real nervousness manifested in fidgeting, in movement. But this woman, frozen, according to the name tag he could barely make out, sat with the stillness of someone comfortable with waiting, with watching. She never looked around the room the way others did. She never made eye contact with potential threats. She simply existed in her space, as unremarkable as wallpaper. That's when Finch understood. The greatest threat wasn't the one who looked dangerous. It was the one you never saw coming. Around him, candidates were finalizing their answers. He could see tablets lighting up with selections. Row 1, seat 7. Row 5, seat 12. Row 8, seat 3. Everyone was choosing the obvious suspects. Finch looked at Frozen one more time. She hadn't moved, hadn't even glanced at her tablet. She sat with the patience of someone who had already won. His finger hovered over his tablet. Logic told him to choose the calculating man in row 5. Instinct whispered something different. He typed, row 3, seat 9. Frozen. Time's up. Morrison's voice cut through the tension. Submit your answers. The tablets went dark. An agonizing silence filled the auditorium. Interesting, Morrison said, pacing the stage. 47 of you chose the same 3 suspects. The military veteran in row 1, the former detective in row 5, or the martial arts champion in row 8. He paused, a slight smile playing at his lips. All planted decoys. None of them are operatives. Gasps echoed through the room. Finch's heart hammered against his ribs. 2 of you, Morrison continued, chose differently. 2 of you saw what everyone else missed. His eyes swept the crowd. The real operative has been sitting quietly in row 3 this entire time. Frozen, would you please stand? The woman in the gray sweater rose gracefully. There was no dramatic transformation, no sudden revelation of hidden weapons or threatening demeanor. She simply stood, and suddenly everyone saw her for the first time. Frozen has been working with our agency for 6 years, Morrison explained. She's successfully infiltrated organizations that never knew she was there. She's extracted intelligence from targets who never remembered meeting her. She is, quite possibly, the most dangerous person in this room. And 48 of you looked right past her. Frozen's expression remained neutral, but Finch caught the briefest flicker of acknowledgement in her eyes as they met his. The greatest threat, Morrison concluded, is the one that makes you forget they're a threat at all. Finch and Candidate Martinez, congratulations. You pass. The rest of you learn from this. In our line of work, the obvious answer is rarely the correct one. As the failed candidates filed out, Finch remained seated, watching Frozen descend from row 3. She moved through the dispersing crowd like a ghost, unremarkable even now that everyone knew who she was. When she reached his row, she paused. You saw me, she said quietly. Almost didn't, Finch admitted. You're good. The best don't get seen, Frozen replied, the hint of a smile touching her lips. Until they want to be. She continued walking, disappearing into the hallway, already forgettable again. But Finch knew he would never forget her, the woman who taught him that silence could be more powerful than any weapon, and invisibility more dangerous than any threat on display. The lesson was clear. In a world of obvious dangers, the real test was seeing the threat that chose not to be seen at all.